What do the United States of America and my mojito have in common? They both need more ICE, according to President Donald Trump, who left a very lengthy post on his Truth Social last night, declaring that we are not letting go of the deportation effort. In fact, we're continuing to ramp it up. President Donald Trump wrote, "Our nation's ICE officers have shown incredible strength, determination, and courage as they facilitate a very important mission, the largest mass deportation operation of illegal aliens in history. Every day, the brave men and women of ICE are subjected to violence, harassment, and even threats from radical Democrat politicians, but nothing will stop us from executing our mission and fulfilling our mandate to the American people. ICE officers are herewith ordered by notice of this truth to do all in their power to achieve the very important goal of delivering the single largest mass deportation program in history." It goes on and on and on to talk about all of the accomplishments of ICE and all the amazing things that ICE has done and what they will continue to do. And he ends with this line, "To ICE, FBI, DEA, ATF, the Patriots at Pentagon, and the State Department, you have my unwavering support. Now go, get the job done, DJT," which of course stands for Donald John Trump. And this, of course, right after the failed No Kings protests from around the country, where the massive protests declaring that Donald Trump and his use of ICE and his use of the military to quell the riots in LA over deportations and over raids, they've said that Donald Trump acting like a dictator and a despot was going to create a massive upheaval nationwide. But many of those protests over the weekend failed flat. They just fell flat. I was in DC myself for the protests, and I'll be honest with you, it was a little boring. I've seen bigger protests in smaller cities, and the nation's capital left like I said, it was a disappointing turnout by the radical lunatics on the left. And President Donald Trump doubling down, saying, "We're not going to stop. We have a mandate from the American people, and that mandate is to make America great again, and that includes massive deportations." Now, the other thing that these people were all up in arms about this weekend was President Donald Trump's parade, his birthday parade, his Flag Day parade, his celebration of 250 years of the U.S. Army in Washington, D.C. And I was there for that as well. It was amazing. They had thousands and thousands of people lining Constitution Avenue. It was military men and women, personnel and personnel carriers and tanks and howitzers and helicopters flying over. There were Air Force, paratroopers jumping out of airplanes and landing on the White House lawn. It was really an incredible celebration, really patriotic celebration. And of course, the left hated it, but President Donald Trump said it was amazing.
Tremendous success with a fantastic audience. It was supposed to rain. They gave it a 100% chance of rain, and it didn't rain at all. It was beautiful. And so I asked, if they gave it 100% chance, right? 100% it was going to rain like crazy, and it didn't rain at all. How did they predict 100 years out and 50 years out or 200 years out? They didn't do too well, the weather people, last night, but it was beautiful.
Donald Trump taking a dig at meteorologists, which we all know, and I've known for a long time. I've said this my entire life. Meteorology is a scam. There's no way to predict the weather, and they were predicting thunderstorms. They were predicting dangerous winds and lightning. The meteorologists, many of them, were urging the president, and I know that some folks at the National Weather Service were urging the president to postpone or to even cancel the parade and the celebration. President Donald Trump did not, because he knows what we know. Meteorology is not an exact science. And meteorologists sometimes use their power to predict the weather to alter the course of human events. But the parade was really, I believe, a fabulous presentation for the United States Army. And President Donald Trump and other dignitaries got up and spoke. And here's what he said.
And above all, thank you to the greatest, fiercest, and bravest fighting force ever to stride the face of this earth, the United States Army. Thank you very much. Because the Army keeps us free, you make us strong, and tonight you have made all Americans very proud. They're watching from all over the world, actually. Made them all very proud.
And President Donald Trump was watching there on the podium with his family. The First Lady Melania, a bunch of other senators and congresspeople and special guests were there as well. And he said, look, this is the army is important for one reason and one reason only, because our enemies know not to mess with the United States of America, or else these people that you see here, these fighting men and women, these brave souls with their howitzers and their tanks and their Chinook helicopters and their armored whatever, they're going to go in and they're going to destroy you. And they're not going to stop until the job's done.
Time and again, America's enemies have learned that if you threaten the American people, our soldiers are coming for you. Your defeat will be certain, your demise will be final, and your downfall will be total and complete. Because our soldiers never give up, never surrender, and never, ever quit. They fight, 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 and they win, win, win.
Yeah, and I got a huge applause from the crowd because it's true. But it is an important message that President Donald Trump was sending, especially in this time of uncertainty, especially in this time when we have all of these conflicts that are popping up all over the world, all of these people that think they know better than the United States of America and think that they control the United States of America and think that they can threaten the United States of America and her allies. And the fact of the matter is they cannot. I mean, they can, but they shouldn't. And that brings us to Iran. The Iran-Israeli conflict has been going through the weekend. Iran firing back at Israel, killing a couple of people in Tehran. And then, of course, Israel just pummeling Iran back and forth. And there has been a lot of uprising, a lot of anger in Iran, not against Israel, but against their own leadership. There have been phone calls back and forth with President Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. There have been phone calls back and forth with the leader of Iran and President Putin in Russia. There's been scrambling all weekend to try to figure out what's going to happen next. And President Donald Trump told the media, it's up to Iran. They need to now make a deal. They've had multiple opportunities. I've told them multiple times, just make a deal, and they refused. Well, now maybe they'll listen.
Give us a sense of what you're doing to try to de-escalate the situation between Iran and Israel?
Well, I hope there's going to be a deal. I think it's time for a deal, and we'll see what happens. But sometimes they have to fight it out, but we're going to see what happens. I think there's a good chance there'll be a deal.
I think in fact, he urged Iran to make a deal in a Truth Social post saying Iran and Israel should make a deal and will make a deal, just like I got India and Pakistan to make in that case by using trade with the United States to bring reason, cohesion, and sanity into the talks with two excellent leaders who were able to quickly make a decision and stop. Also, during my first term, Serbia and Kosovo were going at it hot and heavy, as they have for many decades, and this long-time conflict was ready to break out into war. I stopped it. Biden has hurt the longer-term prospects with some very stupid decisions, but I will fix it again. Another case is Egypt and Ethiopia, and their fight over a massive dam that is having an effect on the magnificent Nile River. There is peace, at least for now, because of my intervention, and it will stay that way. Likewise, we will have peace soon between Israel and Iran. Many calls and meetings now taking place. I do a lot and never get credit for anything, but that's okay. The people understand. Make the Middle East great again. Or mega, I guess would be how you would read that. But President Donald Trump he's busy and he's looking at everybody and he's saying, they know he's not kidding around. They know that when President Donald Trump says you need to make a deal, you need to make a deal. And that's why a deal with Iran and Israel is probably going to be imminent. That's why Iran getting massive protests and massive pushback from its own people at home, not to mention the continued pummeling by Israel should be concerning to them and should cause them to make some kind of change in their regime. This change, of course, is a long time coming and something that President Donald Trump has over and over again exerted as necessary. Iran must never have a nuclear weapon. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. They never will. And if the current leadership continues to try to create a nuclear weapon, then Israel will make sure that that leadership is gone. There's been a lot of talk back and forth about the United States entering the war. There's been a lot of talk about the United States bombing the facility that is buried in the foothills of Iran or in the mountains of Iran that the Israelis are not able to get to. And as of right now, President Donald Trump has said, we're not escalating the war. We're not entering the war. This is a war between Israel and Iran, and we are going to try to keep it as peaceful as possible. There was, even though there's new information coming out from Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli intelligence over the weekend that Iran twice tried to kill President Donald Trump, Donald Trump is still trying to broker peace with them, and he believes that he will be successful. Now, Donald Trump is in Canada. I know what you're wondering. Why would anyone go to Canada? Well, that's where the G7 is. And President Donald Trump is there, and they were asking him about new trade deals. He goes, "Yeah, I think we're gonna be able to get some good stuff done."
You expect to have some trade deals announced at the G7 summit coming up?
Look, we have our trade deals. All we have to do is send a letter. This is what you're going to have to pay. But I think we'll have a few new trade deals. Yeah.
So Donald Trump using the G7 conference again, not just to do G7 stuff, but to broker trade deals and peace deals and try to get things done for the United States of America. Try to continue with, now that he has the tariff power, and I mean, he's had the tariff power, but now that the courts have said, look, he can use the tariff power, now that he's continued to win and battle and fight in court so that he can continue to make America great again, he's going to continue to do just that. And face to face with these world leaders, I imagine there'll be some secret meetings going on that nobody knows about that will come out with mutually beneficial effects for Donald Trump and whomever he's speaking with. Speaking of mutually beneficial, the big, beautiful bill continues to be argued in the Senate and the House of Representatives this week. July 4th is Donald Trump's drop dead date. He wants this thing done by July 4th, which gives the Senate only a couple of weeks. The big, beautiful bill, again, if it is not passed, and again, Donald Trump has kind of switched gears, or his team has switched gears, and instead of heralding the amazing things that are in the bill, which we all know about now, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, $5,000 for Social Security benefits, solidifying the Trump tax cuts, the Trump accounts for newborn children, all of these things that are just incredible benefits to the United States of America, and will, at the end, when you take the entire economic package together and roll it down, will help to pay off at least $2 trillion worth of the United States deficit. When you look at all that, Donald Trump said, okay, you know what we're going to do now? We're going to tell everyone how horrible a country this is if we don't pass these. And we're going to talk about how taxes are going to go up by 64%, the largest tax increase in American history, and how it will kill 1.1 million manufacturing jobs here in the United States of America, and how there will be massive unemployment, and how if this bill does not pass, the United States of America will be unrecognizable and will be hurling toward economic uncertainty. That's the new take, and it seems to be working, because even Rand Paul, who was one of the, I wouldn't say lone holdouts, but biggest and most vocal holdouts, is now saying he's not a no on the one big beautiful bill. There's a lot in it to like. He would like to make some changes to the debt ceiling increase. That seems to be the only sticking point at this point. But we still have 2 weeks before July 4th so that the Senate and the House of Representatives can come forward, deliver a bill to President Donald Trump, and send this country toward the new golden age once and for all. And that's something that we're all, I'm personally looking forward to. I love a new golden age. Who doesn't love it? I wasn't even around for the old golden age, so I'd love to be part of the new golden age. Listen, as President Donald Trump lands in Canada and begins speaking at the G7 and meeting with leaders, we will be bringing you all of the news. We'll be bringing you all the updates. And if you want, you should, even if you don't want. In fact, I don't care what you want. You should listen to our daily podcast at 1 p.m. Eastern, Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. Every day at 1 p.m. Eastern, we bring out the Mark Kaye Saves the Republic podcast. It's added commentary. It's added news and information, interviews, all kinds of great stuff for you so that you can continue to be educated about what's going on in the world, informed about what's going on in the world, so we can inspire you to do whatever you need to do to continue fighting for the United States and all of the moral, Christian, conservative values that are going to keep her safe forever. And that's why we call it Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. Simply go to whatever podcast platform you like to listen to, search Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, download, listen, and enjoy.